Hello everyone. Sorry I haven't posted in a while. Autumn here in a really nice forest in the UK, taking the dog for a walk, trying to be efficient. As I talk, the election results are just coming in from the States. The whole world's interested in this. And I'm not going to talk about the candidates who are running because that's been done to death. But what I do just want to share a couple of thoughts on is how different the candidates are. And no matter which way it goes, about half the population will vote for either one. So there's a huge split in that country. And the candidates represent two different things. They're fundamentally different. One, on the one side, Democrats looking more science-based. They want to look at they want to rejoin the Paris Agreement. They want to assess the pandemic properly according to the medical science. And then perhaps it's fair to say you've got the Republican side that are really shooting from the hip, not so bothered about the facts. They just want to get the economy up and running, or so they say. And it's just a completely different, at odds, mentality from both sides. The thing that's really struck me is that such a large part of the population has come down on either side of this, split almost right down the middle, very narrow margins. And because this channel, just to retract a bit, I mean this channel this growing channel slowly is all about, at its heart, is science and the basis of science and evidence, because it's generally agreed, at least in the scientific community, it's the closest thing we can get to the truth and finding out the truth about a lot of things. But one of the candidates here, it's fair to say, is pretty anti-truth. But why are so many people taking that? Why are so many people not willing to listen to that evidence? And that is what I really find interesting, is why people believe. Why do they believe? Why don't they believe? Why don't they believe the facts? It just has highlighted, as clear as day, that for many of us, we are not rational creatures. We're emotional creatures. We all like to think we're rational and we make decisions based on the facts, but we really don't. We haven't got time, most of us haven't got time to look at these big, long, complicated answers to pandemics and climate change. We want short answers that shoot from the hip. They make much more sense, they're nice sound bites. They appeal to our emotions. And that, of course, is what Trump does, fact denier, but uses a soundbite to great effect. And that can tap into people's mentality. And it's got no basis, of course, but it's very powerful. Exciting, the way Trump puts this forward. It's really, exciting. You almost want to believe that the coronavirus is going to go away, for example, and everything's going to be okay and we're turning the corner. Where, of course, if you look at his medical experts, they're all saying completely the opposite. As I talk, there's close to 250,000 deaths, I think, in the US. It's an incredible number. It's a number that you cannot sweep under the carpet. And I think that's one of the important points, is a fact is a fact. If you can stick your head in you can argue against a fact, and you can pretend a fact isn't there, but when it's all said and done, a fact is a fact. Whether you disbelieve it or choose to ignore it, it will still be there. And unfortunately, the pandemic is one of those things. Now, of course, we live in a time where we're facing some really big challenges. Climate change, the pandemic as we speak, COVID-19. Some would argue overpopulation, overconsumption, environmental degradation, all of these things. To solve them, the point is that we need baseline facts. We need the science. We need the logic. We need the hard facts. But more importantly, we need all these problems are multifaceted. What I mean by that is no one line of research is going to solve them all. It's about different lines of research all coming together. I'm lucky. I don't normally mix work with these blogs, but I'm very fortunate. I run a postgraduate program on control of infectious diseases, and I also run a research group. And what's apparent is that the problems are so big generally in science that you cannot work alone. Gone are the days where academics could work in their ivory towers and solve a problem. It doesn't work that way. These problems are so big, they require international collaborations from many different people with many different skill sets. And the only way we can do that is to follow the facts, the science, work together to solve these technical problems. So it brings me to the case in point. I'm not going to lie, it's a bit disappointing when you think on the face of it that up to half of the population might be or lean towards those sound bites and disowning facts, not listening to experts on science or pandemics or these kind of things, technical subjects, because it's so much easier just to believe a sound bite. And I think that is really a little bit worrying, but there are some things that we could also do to make sure that that doesn't happen. What can we do? How can we make better decisions? How do we know what's true? And the essence of this is, how do you sort out good information from bad information? The answer is it's pretty difficult. The short answer is it's pretty difficult. You know, you've all got busy lives. I mean, who's got time to look at the latest epidemiological papers or look at the latest steps in the stages in the vaccine development? No one's got time to do that. What we can do is, if someone comes up with a statement that seems too good to be true, or an outrageous statement, is just to ask the simple question, where did you get that information from? Justify that statement. For instance, we're turning the corner on COVID. Just ask the question, where did you get that information from? How do you make the basis of your opinion? Just by asking those small questions, it's very easy to see if someone's just shooting from the hip or whether they've actually taken the time to research a proper answer. But wow, what a roller coaster over the last 4 years. If nothing else, things have been stirred up a bit, haven't they? So in summary on this ramble, it was just to mention that when we're dealing with technical subjects, it's a pretty good idea to listen to the technical experts in that field. Politics is a dirty game, it's a messy game. So if you really want the lowdown on that particular subject, don't go to a politician. Listen to what the experts say, and then you can make a decision. Politicians, they play a different game. They've got to balance the economy, they've got to balance against the science, against the data. It's a tricky job, I wouldn't envy it. But nevertheless, if you want the absolute truth about a subject, then listen to the technical experts. I think that's fair to say. And if your politicians or anyone in an influential position disagrees with their own experts, you should sort of ask, why is that? Why would they disagree with their experts on those technical subjects that these people have probably spent years, if not decades, of their lives working on? And I have to be honest, I mean, if it wasn't so serious, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I've really enjoyed watching all this. It's like break out the popcorn for me. And if it wasn't so serious, I'd be laughing a lot of the time. Some of the comments that, you know, one of the candidates make it, I mean, it's got comedy value. I mean, it's brilliant in its own way. But it has been a wake-up call to me that humans aren't innately critical thinkers. I think it has to be taught, and it has to be learnt, and it has to be nurtured from a young age. So that's why it's important that science and critical thinking is taught at school. That's the end of this ramble. I enjoyed this walk in the woods with the dog. And wherever you are, I hope you're enjoying the lockdown as much as you can, and hopefully it will all be temporary. Until next time.